Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Thursday, the 12th day of May, 2022. Let me get my keyboard out of the way here. I've already shuffled the deck, and hopefully we're going to... oops, about dropped some of it here. I'll shuffle a little bit more. Just one time, I think. I've just been sitting here shuffling and shuffling. Let's go ahead and take a look at the esoteric influences for today. Now, remember all this stuff, the numerology, the esoteric influences, the daily correspondences, and then the ascendant rays, nodes, and other aspects. Those 4 posts go up on Saturday night on the blog. Let's see, it also, the daily correspondences go up on Saturday nights as well on Patreon. I schedule it for then, and that way, because they all begin on Sunday, so I want you to have them in time. The newsletter also goes out on Saturday, so if you want to sign up for that, there's a sign up over on the blog. You just kind of scroll down a little bit, look for on the left side panel, you'll see it. Just put your email address in there, and you can unsubscribe anytime you want to. Because I know if you saw my email inbox, you'd be going, oh geez, and I have to go through all the time and get rid of stuff and unsubscribe. And how I get on, I don't even know how I get that stuff. I tend not to subscribe to anything anymore because I don't want all that, right? Well, anyway. So here I am telling you to sign up for my newsletter. So it's like, get one more thing. But then also the posts for Medium, 2 of them go up on Medium. I also publish them, I think, Saturday nights as well. I try to remember to do that. That way everything begins on Sunday, and you're not waiting to see that if you want to read those things. So anyway, that's what this is from the esoteric influences. If this is your first time here and I chat a little bit and read this and then we get started with the runes, and then we take the cards, and then we do the reading. So for today, though, we have a 3 numerology with the 12th. It's not the same thing as a life path, mind you. But with a 3 numerology, we have feelings of optimism, imagination, imaginative self-expression, attention to detail. 3 is a triplicity. So think maiden, mother, crone, or past, present, future. There's an element of that type of energetic structure on a 3-day. The rune today from the Elder Futhark is Uruz, which means the primal forming essence. It's also the Oryx is the actual keyword for it. It's an old, now extinct, although I read some folks are trying to I guess they've got some DNA and they want to make some more Oryx. And so, but that's actually extinct. It's just like a big bison. So it really gives the idea of strength, and in Uruz, kind of shaped like this, kind of looks like a big bison. But it's it means health, endurance, strength. It's energy shaping matter, basically. The Geomancy rune for today is a missio, or loss, or sacrifice, or hesitance, or insecurity. And the sun's in Taurus, the moon's in Libra. The planetary governance for Thursday is Jupiter, so expansive magics today of pretty much all kinds. And you may be rather impatient when expressing your ideas and perspectives during this period, especially if it seems that others don't agree or their expectations of you are unrealistic. And it may be best to put on hold anything that can wait for another day. Remember that you have the ability to shape your experiences, and it may be best to move forward on your own here. It makes no sense to either engage in or respond to behavior that's fragmented or relies on insights that will never yield results. Instead, a more conservative approach may be needed, as well as the knowledge that sometimes you have to let go of control to truly find your path forward. So that's it for the esoteric influences. I'm going to leave them over here, though, on the side, just in case we pull anything. If I pull Uruz or a Missio here for the runes, sometimes that happens, usually not, but sometimes it does, and oftentimes it's the Geomancy rune more than anything that I pull again. But, you know, like I say, I do this, like I've already got the esoteric influences done for next week, and so it's not like I'm I'm doing it all at the same time and pulling the same thing. I'm not. There's days in between that, you know, or a week or so between all of it. And today we have Sewillow. Now, Sewillow is the rune of the sun and also of the will. It's an as above, so below type of energetic rune. You have Kenaz that's skewed, but Kenaz forward and reverse that comprise Sewillow. And Kenaz, of course, is the torch or the light of spirit, the expression of will, illumination, awakening. The same with this, but you can also include success, awakening, enlightenment, bringing light into your awareness, higher self light into your awareness is really what Sewillow is all about. But it's just like with the Sun card in Tarot in the Major Arcana. You know, you're looking at the light returning. You're looking at success, vitality, victory, new beginnings, all of that. Well, let's see. But it looks like we have Tristitia. Let me find it here in the bowl. Here it is. Its complement is Laetitia, but here we have Tristitia. Passive influences for fire, air, water. Anytime you see 2 dots in Geomancy, that's a passive influence. An active influence is a single dot. So it's really super focused on earthly issues. And Tristitia is an interesting one. It's, again, like a Missio, there's a sense of loss with it, but it's a more emotional type of a loss. There could be secretiveness. There could be... you know, kind of the ego side of things here with it. But sadness, loss, grief, condemnation, and again, maybe secretive or judgmental or something is involved in it. Judgment might be involved in it. So you really kind of have opposites here in terms of the runes. The, excuse me, as above side, the Sewillow side, you know, you're looking at that would be the as above side. That's higher self. And then the Geomancy side would be the below side, and we can look at that as ego. So if you look at these in terms of 2 focuses, you can see where ego can really take you into sadness and grief and condemnation and all of that, whereas with Sewillow, it's suggesting, you know, maybe you ought to look at things from a higher perspective, perhaps. But let's go ahead and take the cards. We'll take 3, and we're going to use the runes again as a significator for the reading. So it could be that there's something happening for you today that is making you sad, that's keeping you in grief, that's keeping you from a judgmental, or keeping you in a judgmental type of perspective, or you're feeling judged by others and you're responding to it with sadness or grief, maybe some frustration there. And if you take a higher perspective, maybe you can see the bigger meaning of it all, and get out of your own judgment of it, and just get out of the way, get higher, get your vibration higher, and allow the higher awareness, allow higher self to come in and tell you what it is that you truly know to begin with. We can get caught up in grief. We can get caught up in being upset about everything. And we forget that there's more going on, and there could be more reasons for what's going on than just our own perceptions. And so higher awareness will tend to give that to you. So let's take our first 3 cards. Well, yeah, it's a higher awareness reading. Well, it's Jupiter. It's Thursday. Jupiter governs. It's everything expansive, including spiritual things. So we have Temperance, the World, and the Hermit. Let's see. Temperance would be the 14th card, so that's a 5 energy. So 5. Let me write it down because, Lord, you know. And then we have the World is 21, so 3. So that's 8. And then we have a 9, 17, so 8. Yeah, so we have an 8 overall numerology, and that's strength. And I think that that's going to be important in terms of especially Tristitia here. The strength of the higher will also is coming into play here. We're talking about moderation. We're talking about coming to conclusion. The World is an interesting card, it's not so much that, I mean, it's completion, it's success, it's reward, it's synthesis. But then you have the Hermit. You have the Hermit where you're getting up away from everything, and I kind of talked about that just a minute ago. And you're trying to find the higher meaning in things, so you can then, essentially let the world know and teach the world about that idea. But it's retreat, it's withdrawal, it's taking inner counsel, or silent counsel, it's divine wisdom, caution. But again, we come full circle with the world. We'll start there. I think at this point it doesn't really matter in terms of the order. Either that, you know what? Let's not. Let's start with temperance. Let's do it a different way. Here we have the angel. 1 foot on the land, 1 foot in the water. So we've got a balance of earth and water here. So what we're talking about there when we talk about the balancing of elements, you're looking at balancing earth, which is all the physicality of life. And again, that can also include ego. But it's everything physical, our work, our home, our family, anything to do, our physical surroundings, our body, all of that is of the earth element. And then water would be emotions and compassion and empathy and change, momentum. And so you're trying to balance all of that together here. You see some water irises here. You also see a pathway coming down to the little pond, if that's what that is. You see 2 peaks here, and the sun rising right here. It's like the path goes to the sun, so to Sawillow. 2 higher awareness, 2 awakening. You see the sun rising between the 2 peaks, so there's some kind of balance there with the soul involved. You see the glyph for fire here, so now we have another element, don't we? We also have red wings on the angel. Air is sort of correlates with spirit sometimes, so does fire. But the wings, you could also attribute that to air as well. So we really have all elements here present in the card, but generally we think we're balancing will with emotions here with temperance. And so that's why we talk about moderation. We want to stay balanced, because otherwise things get out of whack, and maybe we get too involved in something or too emotional about something, and whereas we need to sort of strike a better balance with that and see it with a more balanced perspective. And again, when we look at Sawillow, we're looking at the as above, so below type of energetic exchange there. We're really talking about the same thing, keeping a balanced sense of will, higher self or soul with the lower form of the earth element there, if you will. So again, you're talking here with temperance, fire, and water, but here you could theoretically talk about fire and earth maybe in terms of Sawillow, although we don't typically do it that way. But just looking at the structure of it, you might see a parallel there. So we're trying to keep things in balance, and we're trying to, keep a perspective going here. And then when we do, we can come full circle with the world. We see here the Hermetic depictions for the elements in each corner. We see 2 lemniscates here, figure 8 patterns here with the well, it's fabric, but reminds me of like 2 scarves that are folded into a lemniscate pattern or figure 8 pattern. You don't see a beginning or an end here, although there kind of looks like maybe it connects here up at the top, because you can see kind of a little leaf below and a leaf above. So theoretically it may do that. It might be coming up this way. But again, if it does, then it begins in higher spirit, begins in higher awareness, and it ends in higher awareness. And so it's synthesis, it's reward, it's completion. We come full circle here. And then we come to the Hermit, where you can see the older man, the shaman, or the priest, or the druid, if you will, in druid clothing there, standing high atop a mountain. He's got his staff in one hand, and he's got his lighted lantern. You can see if you look very closely there, it's the Merkaba, bringing light to the world. Now, Merkabas are considered the soul vehicle. And so when you do meditation, you do trance work or whatever, and you want to do a journeying where you're going to separate a piece of yourself, and you stick it basically in a Merkaba, and you can travel about that way. But basically, it's higher awareness expressing itself outward. So he wants to see whatever's going on in his life. And again, that could relate to Tristitia here. Whatever's going on in his life that's upsetting him, he wants to get away from it all. He wants to get higher. He wants to retreat and look inward to his own higher awareness, to the higher self, and say, okay, what's really going on here? How should I be seeing this? And again, it's really talking about, I think, that if we approach things in moderation, if we get away from it all and try to get a better perspective on things where we're not so emotional, not so willful, not so, overly rational that we can't see the subtleties, that maybe the water element might bring in. When we do that, you see, we can gain a better perspective on whatever it is we're dealing with, whatever challenges we're facing today, and whatever sadness and grief or loss or difficulty we might feel. If somebody's judging you, that just keeps coming into my head. If you're feeling judged by somebody, it isn't that they're right. It's just their perspective. Now, there might be something valuable in what they're telling you. But at the same time, the method of delivery isn't very good, and it makes you feel bad. And so you can't get caught up in that. You have to realize that, well, they have their own issues, and for whatever reason, they want to insert them on you. And so it's not something that's fair necessarily, and it can make, like I say, it can make you feel bad. And so again, you balance that. With temperance, you would look at that situation with, okay, I don't have to get so upset about it. I can understand that they have their perspective, I have mine, and if they want to be judgmental, that's on them. That's a real temperance way of looking at it. And as you synthesize that into your life, into your experience, you kind of come full circle from beginning in higher self back again to higher self, because that's a more higher self-oriented perspective to take. Being able to get out away from it like the hermit, and to allow higher self to come in and say, look, this is not something that really you have anything to do with. This is their issue, and you need to understand that, and you can react to them with compassion if possible, or at minimum you can walk away. Either way, whatever you need to do. Maybe in the moment you don't really feel like, reacting to them with compassion. But sometimes when people are judging other people, they're really judging themselves. It's stuff about themselves that they don't like. I mean, remember that everything that we see and experience, at least from my perspective, is, and I mean, others feel this way too, and I realize not everybody sees it this way, but everything is a projection of consciousness. And so you are populating your experience with your own perceptions and your own conscious awareness here, or unconscious awareness, as it were. And so in a sense, it's like a mirror to your own issues that you want to deal with. So you could take a situation and have 10 other people with you, and all 11 of you are going to see it differently. So that's got to tell you that most of what we experience is based upon our own perception. It's not so much that we're reacting to something objectively, more so we're reacting to it with our own, issues, our own, the life experience that we've had, that we've gained perception out of, right? And so we have a certain level of understanding about our world, But again, it's our world. And so maybe someone's coming in to give you a window into what judgment looks like. Maybe you're judging other people yourself. But at the same time, if you could also be participating in someone else's projection of consciousness, helping them to understand something greater, a greater message that they need to learn about. And so how you respond to that person, if you respond with judgment as well, then you keep the fires of judgment going, right? If you don't, if you just kind of look at them and say, okay, and then you go about your business and you just allow them to sit with their own experience of judging you, right? Maybe they're having to learn something about that. If they see that they've hurt your feelings, maybe they're learning that when I judge someone, I hurt their feelings. So there can be some reciprocity of experience going on here that may not necessarily have as much to do with you as it does for them. So there's that. Again, that's getting above it all and trying to gain some bigger meaning for what's really happening in your life. And all too often when we get so caught up in grief, when we get caught up in again, condemnation with Tristitia is judgment. If we judge something too harshly without truly understanding the entire picture, maybe that person has just been judged themselves and they feel terrible. So now they got to visit that on someone else to sort of get rid of that energy, And again, this may not have anything to do with that. It just keeps coming into my head that there's something judgy about this, that it just feels judgy to me. But again, it could be anything. Where you just need to get a different perspective about it, get a higher perspective, one that again doesn't judge but simply observes and does so dispassionately without the emotion. Again, with temperance, we started out blending fire and water, finding a way to be compassionate and understanding without being willful about it, right? And asserting yourself in a way that maybe is a reaction to your emotional state, right? You lash out, in other words, you get emotional, you lash out. Well, we want to not do that. And we want to get into a higher place about all of this. So whatever it is you're upset about today, whatever you're in grief about, whatever sadness is coming into your awareness, just realize that there could be a broader message here, whatever it is. That you could look at and maybe help you to understand the situation so that you can relieve some of that feeling today. So, where are we on time? Well, we're actually getting close to the end, so I like to try to keep this around 25 minutes if I can. Sometimes I go over, but I find that seems to work the best. Otherwise, I'm repeating myself over and over again, and who needs that, right? Well, I hope you guys have a good weekend. I'm still waiting for spring to come. I mean, it started out early, and then it went away. And night before last, we were in the 20s. We weren't last night though. But I think it was like I woke up and it was like 24. It's like how is the ground ever going to warm up enough, right? My peas are still not up. I saw. Did I see three? I saw three of the, when seeds start and you get the first leaves, those are I think they're called the codleedon or something. There's three of those where I've planted the radishes. I only have three. I don't know. And we've got some warmer weather on Sunday, I think, and that will be good. Also Sunday is the full moon. It's a blood moon. It's the flower moon, I guess. Is it the flower moon or something? Anyway, but it's also going to be, is it going to be a super moon? Anyway, it's a total lunar eclipse. And I think it starts around 7:30ish here, Pacific time. But I think it goes from then until like 10 something. So somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour, maybe you'll really start to see it. If you can see it, if it's not cloudy, you'll start to see it, but it's going to be very cool. The moon's in Scorpio. So, emotions and secretiveness. I have a son, my youngest is a Scorpio, very intelligent, very, he's gifted. Both the boys are, but they, one's a Virgo and one's a Scorpio, and so you got one that's very, but the Scorpio, he's very practical too, but he's very intuitive. Just it's an interesting type of sign. It can be pretty aggressive. It can be they can be pretty judgmental. They can get focused in on something, you know. But then other times they see the bigger picture like no one else can. So I don't know. Scorpio's an interesting time. So it can be explosive. It can be, but they can be very supportive. So we'll just see. We'll see what this moon does. And eclipses are cool because it's like you get the whole experience of the entire lunar month in one moment, right? The moment of eclipse. If you want to do a ritual, you can use the rune Dagaz to do that. Dagaz is I'll just draw it because it's easier than trying to find it. This is Dagaz. And you can draw this on the ground. You can stand right in the center as the eclipse is happening. You know, do it like a minute or two before getting the middle point of it, and experience the eclipse to its exact moment, and then as it goes out. That's a fun thing to do, to feel that kind of energy at that moment, and to visualize something coming to an end and something beginning. So you can do a ritual like that. That's a very simplified way of doing a Dagaz ritual, but I do them. I think they're fine. It's a wonderful way to experience that type of energy. I also like to do it on the equinoxes, mostly. But eclipses are very cool, and we've got a total one this time, so that's very cool. So, and that's Sunday night. So look forward to that. Those are fun moments, and to experience that energetic movement is just, I don't know. If you're empathic, you'll probably feel it more. I'm empathic. You'll feel it maybe more than someone else will. But then again, it's such a strong energy. Maybe everybody feels it. I don't know. But have fun with it. And have a good weekend. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.